We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Hit that point where, your ambition just slams into this wall of what feels possible, leaves you feeling a bit lost. How do you push past those limits, especially when you don't even have a map?
That's a huge question, and it's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We're digging into David Goggins' whole philosophy on really defined goals, looking at how having that clear objective becomes like an anchor, and crucially, how that anchor fires up this engine of mental tools inside us.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not just taking his word for it. We've pulled together a bunch of sources for this dive. We're talking ancient philosophy, modern psychology research, even neurobiology, to really get the full picture behind his, pretty extreme methods.
Mm-hmm. And this need for purpose. It's ancient. Think about the Stoics, like Seneca. He had that famous line, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. It's this idea that you need to define your port. Any wind helps only if you know where you're going. Marcus Aurelius said something similar, too, about needing a consistent goal for a consistent life.
So it's not just like a nice saying, it's practical.
Yeah.
But how did we get from philosophy to actually, measuring this stuff? Because Edwin Locke's goal-setting theory kind of formalized it, right? Said our conscious behavior is purposeful, it's regulated by goal.
Exactly. It puts science behind the idea. And Goggins, he takes Locke's theory and pushes it to the absolute limit. Locke talks about clarity, specific, measurable goals. Goggins loves this, like lose 100 pounds in 3 months or do 4,030 pull-ups. Specific. Then there's challenge. Goals should be hard, motivating. Goggins decides to run a 100-mile race with 0 training.
Wait, hold on. 0 training. That sounds less like a challenge and more like just asking for trouble. What's the thinking there?
Yeah.
He seems to just reject the whole idea of achievable or realistic. Calls it a governor in the mind.
Right, that self-imposed limit. He believes you don't know your limits until you push way past what seems reasonable. For him, it's about finding a way to make it happen no matter how impossible it looks at first.
Okay, so how does that even work? I mean, biologically.
Well, that's where neuroplasticity comes in. Our brain's amazing ability to adapt, to rewire itself. Goggins' insane challenges, they don't just strengthen existing pathways, they force the brain to build completely new ones. It's like forced adaptation.
And dopamine's involved too, right? The brain's reward system. Like when you push against that governor and you actually make progress, even a little bit, boom, dopamine hit.
Precisely. You get that reward chemical, which reinforces the effort. It creates this positive feedback loop. Your brain starts to learn that pushing through discomfort leads to reward, to growth. It basically retrains your default response away from stop.
So for Goggins, the goal isn't just the finish line. It's a person you become while you're chasing it. Like running that 100-miler wasn't just about the race, it was about tackling past trauma.
Exactly. The transformation is key. And that leads into his 40% rule. That idea that when your mind is screaming, I'm done, you're actually only at about 40% of your real capability.
That sounds incredibly powerful, life-changing even.
Yeah.
But we do need to talk about the other side, the shadow, as you called it, this extreme path. It's definitely not for everyone. There's a real risk, isn't there?
Yeah.
Burnout, mental health strain.
Oh, absolutely. There are potential downsides. Major depressive disorder could be a risk for some. Physical toll, too. He's had kidney failure, muscle injuries. Plus, that intense focus can mean neglecting other parts of life, relationships. It demands a lot. It's not a universal prescription.
Right. So you have the goal as the anchor, providing that solid direction.
Yes, unwavering direction.
But then you need the engine, the tools to actually keep going when it gets incredibly tough.
Yeah.
So what's in that Goggins toolkit? You mentioned the accountability mirror. Sounds intense.
It is. It's about raw honesty with yourself. No excuses. It cements that clarity and commitment.
Okay. And the cookie jar.
That's your mental stash of past wins, times you overcame something hard. You pull out those memories when you need proof you can endure to boost confidence, self-efficacy.
Got it. Like fuel. And then the 40% rule, again, as the tool to actually push past those perceived limits.
Right. It's the mechanism for systematically challenging that mental governor and finding those hidden reserves.
So putting it all together, the anchor is the clear, challenging goal. The engine is using these tools, mirror, cookie jar, 40% rule, consistently. That's how you turn the intention into, reality.
That's the synthesis, yes. Whether you go full Goggins extreme or adapt these ideas, the core principle holds: anchor and engine.
So here's a challenge for you listening. Write down one goal for the next 30 days. Make it specific, make it challenging, be really detailed. Then break it down, small steps, and visualize it. Really see yourself doing it, achieving it.
And maybe ask yourself this final question. What's your what if? That thing you've been holding back on, maybe because it felt too big, too unrealistic. What is it? Okay, so today we're diving deep into someone pretty intense, David Goggins. You hear the name, you think raw determination, maybe suffering.
Definitely. But we're not just, scratching the surface of that intensity today.
No, exactly. We're going to really unpack episode 12 Can't Hurt Me. It's called The Daily Grind, Consistency Over Intensity.
Right.
And our mission really is to show that his philosophy, it's more than just these like brutal random efforts. It's actually a pretty sophisticated system, values driven, aimed at real transformation.
Yeah. And for you listening, it helps to nail down these terms first. So consistency.
Yeah.
Think methodical, steady, like a drum beat, day in, day out.
Okay.
Intensity. That's the short, sharp burst,
Mm-hmm.
the lightning strike, high effort, short duration,
Got it.
and the daily grind. That's Goggins' core.
Yeah.
The stuff he does every single day, non-negotiable no matter how he feels. It's the engine.
And hopefully what you get from this deep dive is kind of a shortcut, a way to see how those massive achievements aren't just goals you hit sometimes, but they're almost the inevitable result if you build the right system. It really flips how you might think about success.
Totally.
Okay, so let's unpack that, this consistency idea. How does it actually work? Like fundamentally in our brains? Sounds simple, but there's got to be more to it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's straight up habit science.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain loves efficiency, so it forms habits with this loop. Cue, routine, reward.
Cue, routine, reward. Okay.
Yeah, and the more you repeat that routine after the cue,
Hmm.
the deeper it gets etched into your basal ganglia. That's kind of the brain's autopilot.
So it moves from conscious effort.
Exactly. To automatic. And that's key because it shields you from those days where motivation just, isn't there. It's less about constant willpower, more about smart wiring.
And here's where I think Goggins gets really interesting, because for him, the goal itself almost feels secondary sometimes.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's like the real point is creating the system of behaviors. That system is what changes you, changes your identity.
Right. And that's amplified massively by the compounding effect. It's like interest in the bank. But for habits, tiny, maybe insignificant seeming actions done consistently, they explode over time, like reading just 30 minutes a day. Seems small, right?
Yeah, barely anything.
But that adds up to over 182 hours a year. That's almost 23 full workdays of reading. Think
Wow.
about that. It's the bamboo thing grows roots unseen for ages, then shoots up, makes waiting for results feel, logical.
But Goggins, he definitely takes it further than just setting up good habits. He's actively building resilience, right? What he calls the calloused mind.
Yes, forged through intentional discomfort. That's the key difference.
Mhm.
He doesn't just tolerate difficulty, he seeks it out.
Like the running.
Exactly. He runs because he hates it. He says it armors his mind for the day. Same with tough food choices. Yeah, performance matters, but it's also about mastering that impulse, strengthening the mind, training that inner voice.
Okay, and the famous 40% rule. Everyone talks about it. How does that actually function?
It's a really potent tool for cognitive reframing. Basically, changing the story you tell yourself when things get hard.
Okay.
The rule says, when your mind screams, "Stop, I'm done,"
Yeah.
you've actually only tapped into about 40% of what you're truly capable of.
Wow, only 40.
Yeah. So it gives you a new script for that moment. Instead of, "I can't," it's, "Okay, this is just the 40% mark, let's access the rest." It pushes you past those limits you thought you had.
So pulling this together, is it really consistency over intensity, like the title says? Or is that simplifying it too much? Because you hear Goggins, you just think pain, intensity.
That is such an important question. And yeah, it's a common misunderstanding. They're not enemies. Consistency and intensity are like partners, sequential.
Sequential, how so?
Well, think about it. Consistent daily effort builds a foundation. It makes you able to handle those high-intensity bursts when they're needed. You need the base first.
Oh.
Think of that 20-mile march idea. Marching steady every day is way more effective long-term than huge mileage one day and then collapsing for 3.
Right, you burn out.
That's exactly. Or even dental hygiene. You brush daily, that's consistency.
Yeah.
Then you get a deep clean periodically, that's intensity. You need both, right? One supports the other, they work together.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So this deep dive, it really shows Goggins' daily grind isn't just about brute force. It's a really thought-out framework, actionable stuff for transforming yourself.
Totally. It's about that deliberate process, building psychological strength, personal mastery, the power of showing up consistently, the logic of compounding, and that unique twist of forging the callous mind through purposeful hardship.
Mm-hmm.
It all connects.
Yeah, it offers a pretty potent roadmap, actually.
Definitely.
So the question for you listening is, what's your takeaway? How could you maybe apply a little intentional discomfort? Or challenge your own 40% rule somewhere in your life? What small, consistent step could you take starting today to build a more purposeful, more resilient you? Okay, let's unpack this. What if you could not just survive stress, but actually, like, get stronger because of it? That's the pretty mind-bending idea we're really diving into today.
Mm.
We've been looking at some fascinating stuff, David Goggins, Nassim Taleb, and insights from psychology, too. And our mission, really, is to take this radical approach and sort of pull out the practical wisdom for you, because
Yeah.
it makes you ask, right? What if you're living at only, say, 40% of your true capacity? And what if stress, learning to leverage it, could unlock the rest? I always thought resilience was the goal, bouncing back.
Right.
But this idea, anti-fragility, actually benefiting from chaos, it feels like a totally different way of thinking, doesn't it?
It absolutely is. And what's fascinating here is really understanding what anti-fragility is. It's a concept Nassim Taleb introduced. Think of it like a spectrum. On one end, you've got something fragile, right? Like a wine glass. Disorder hits, it shatters.
Yeah.
In the middle, maybe something robust or resilient,
Yeah.
like a steel cube. It takes shocks, stays the same.
Right, it endures. Smoothly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But anti-fragile, that's the system that actually benefits. It grows stronger from stressors, shocks, volatility. Human muscles, for instance. The controlled stress of weightlifting makes them stronger.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So it's a fundamental shift, really, from just enduring stress to actively leveraging it for growth.
That's a powerful difference, benefiting, not just surviving. But it raises questions for me, like, is there a line where stress becomes too much?
Mm-hmm.
And how does someone actually do this
Yeah,
in real life? Can you give us like a really vivid example, someone who just embodies this?
absolutely. And yeah, that's where someone like David Goggins comes straight to mind. His life story is, well, it's basically a living testament to this principle. Coming from this background of trauma, abuse, self-doubt,
Yeah.
to becoming a Navy SEAL, ultramarathoner, record holder. I mean, his transformation just shows what happens when you embrace this fully.
It's incredible seeing theory put into practice like that.
Yeah.
So intense. And his callous mind idea, that sounds like a real psychological strategy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Because his calloused mind, it's essentially a self-administered type of stress inoculation training, SIT, where you systematically expose yourself to manageable stressors.
Right, to build tolerance. Yeah.
Exactly. To build coping mechanisms for bigger shocks later.
Yeah.
And that built an anti-fragile response because each exposure fine-tunes the system. It learns, optimizes, and we connect this to the bigger picture. Goggins' journey, it's also a prime example of post-traumatic growth.
PTG.
Yeah, that phenomenon where people actually experience positive psychological change after severe adversity. His trauma, it didn't break him. It sort of forced him to build this new, stronger internal architecture, turning adversity into, well, immense strength.
His feats are just
Negative.
extreme, right? Running 100 miles on broken legs, multiple hell weeks.
Oh, absolutely extreme.
These aren't everyday challenges. And then intensity, it makes you wonder immediately, how do we take his stay hard philosophy without just, breaking ourselves? Injury, burnout.
This raises a really important question, and it's where the nuance is just critical. The danger isn't the philosophy itself, I think, but maybe misinterpreting it,
Okay.
literally trying to emulate its extremes.
Yeah.
That can lead to injury, burnout, even something called development burnout.
What's that?
It's where you get kind of perpetually dissatisfied, always chasing the next improvement level, never finding peace. The real power lies in understanding the principle, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Cultivating discipline, self-awareness, managing your psychological energy, realizing many limits are self-imposed, and using controlled stress to build a stronger mind. It's not about reckless self-punishment.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what does this mean for your life, listening right now? We've gone from Taleb's concept to Goggins kind of embodying it, this anti-fragile mind. It's about changing your whole relationship with adversity.
Right. And to start cultivating that yourself, here are maybe a few actionable things. Okay, so next time you feel stressed, instead of just complaining, actively ask yourself, what's a signal here for adaptation? How can I actually evolve from this? It's about seeking the benefit.
Looking for the upside in the stress itself.
Exactly. Also, maybe try a simple breathing exercise. Just 30 seconds when you feel anxious. It's not just calming in the moment. It's like you're building internal capacity that benefits from the challenge, makes your system stronger for next time.
Troning your response.
Precisely.
Uh-huh.
And finally, maybe expose yourself to something that makes you just slightly nervous. public speaking, a difficult conversation, whatever it is for you, and afterwards, reflect. How did you handle it? Where did you not just cope, but maybe learn something, grow?
So maybe the final thought for you is this. What small controlled stress can you introduce into your life today, knowing that it might just make you stronger? Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're jumping into something pretty intense. It's David Goggins and his whole never settling idea.
Right.
It kind of flips the usual self-help stuff on its head, doesn't it?
Totally. It basically says forget comfort.
Yeah, like what if that constant struggle, that discomfort is actually the point of being ambitious? It makes you wonder, maybe our desire for comfort is what holds us back from what we could really achieve.
That's the core of it, I think. And that's what we want to explore in this deep dive, right? Go beyond just the hustle slogans.
Okay.
And really look at the psychology, the philosophy behind this relentless drive. It's less about trophies and more about self-mastery, like a constant becoming.
Right, becoming something more. So Goggins talks about this 40% rule. What's that about exactly?
Well, the idea is that when your mind is telling you you're done, you're exhausted, you're really only at about 40% of your actual capability.
Wow, only 40%.
Yeah. So for him, never settling isn't just a nice thought. It's like the essential key to unlock that other 60%.
He sees potential as something you build then, not something you're just born with.
Exactly. It's dynamic, forged in adversity, as you said.
Okay.
And it connects really well with Carol Dweck's work on the growth mindset.
That abilities can be developed.
Right. Goggins just gives it this really visceral application. He calls it building a calloused mind.
A calloused mind, like hardening it through use.
Pretty much. Systematically exposing yourself to discomfort, building tolerance. It shows effort dictates limits, not just talent.
And there's a reward in the struggle itself.
Yeah, that's the idea of the flow state or an autotelic experience. The activity, the challenge is the reward.
Okay, so it's like mental conditioning through deliberate difficulty. It really makes you think. And this isn't entirely new, is it? There are older ideas here, too.
Definitely. You can see echoes of it way back.
Like Aristotle's eudaimonia, that deeper well-being.
Right. Not just chasing pleasure, hedonia, but finding meaning in fulfilling your potential, even when it's hard.
It's the whole journey, not the destination thing, but maybe more intense.
No. Finding fulfillment in the process.
And we see this in history, right? Like Thomas Edison.
Oh, yeah.
With his 10,000 ways that won't work before the light bulb. That's pure persistence through failure.
Absolutely. Or think about Michael Jordan switching to baseball.
Right. At the absolute peak of his game.
He deliberately chose discomfort, a new challenge where he might fail. That screams growth over just maintaining success.
It shows that drive for continuous improvement. Although, someone like Usain Bolt seemed to operate from pure confidence, less self-confrontation maybe.
True, different paths, but still pushing limits constantly.
Which raises a really important point, though. Where's the line?
Exactly. When does this drive become, unhealthy?
Toxic productivity, burnout, that stuff.
There's that quote from Edward Abbey, growth for the sake of growth is the ideology of the cancer cell.
Oof, that's stark. A good warning against ambition without purpose.
It really is.
So how do you find that balance? If the whole point is pushing limits, how do you know when to, ease off?
Well, that brings in maybe strategic settling.
Strategic settling. So not giving up, but being smart about it.
Yeah, conscious choices. Prioritizing. Recognizing you can't push everywhere all the time, like Hemingway stopping mid-sentence.
Right, to fight another day. Preserve energy. It highlights needing that internal drive, too, not just external goals.
That's key. Aligning the ambition with your actual core values. Does this pursuit really matter to you?
Okay.
And then using tools like SMART, goal specific, measurable, all that.
Attainable, realistic, time-limited.
Yeah. And crucially, building in self-care. Rest. Boundaries, mindfulness. They aren't weaknesses. They're what make the drive sustainable.
Okay, so wrapping this up then, this never settle idea, it's not necessarily about just grinding yourself down.
No.
When you balance it, when you understand the why, it becomes a sustainable way to live, a fulfilling one.
Precisely. It's about that continuous journey of becoming, unlocking potential. The goal shifts from comfort to growth.
Right. So for you listening, maybe something to think about this week.
Yeah, here's a thought. What's one area, just one, where maybe you've let a bit of complacency creep in? And what new, challenging standard, even a small one, could you set for yourself there this week? just to test that edge again.
Have you ever felt like you've just completely hit a wall, but like deep down you kind of suspected there was maybe more you could give?
Yeah, that feeling is pretty universal, I think.
Right. Imagine finding some hidden gear inside yourself, this uh, deep well of resilience you didn't even know was there.
Hmm.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into the Goggins mindset. And look, it's way more than just, simple motivation. It's more like a system.
Yeah, a system of applied psychology, really, and
Yeah.
physiology, all designed to unlock that latent potential most of us don't tap into.
Exactly. So our mission today.
Well, we want to unpack the 4 core ideas of this mindset. We'll look at the science behind them, which is surprisingly solid, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and see how they show up in real-world success stories. But also, critically, look at the potential downsides. Because there are
It's
some.
always important.
Right. We want you to walk away not just informed, but with a real nuanced understanding of how you might apply these powerful ideas wisely, or even if you should.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Maybe the most provocative idea Goggins puts out there is his 40% rule.
Yes, the 40%.
It's this radical claim, right, that when your mind is screaming, stop, quit, you're done, you've actually only used about 40% of your real capacity.
It sounds kind of unbelievable at first, doesn't it?
Totally.
But what's really fascinating is how well this lines up with something called the central governor theory in exercise science.
Okay, central governor.
Yeah, it basically suggests your brain acts like a protective governor on your body. It tries to regulate your effort based on how hard it thinks things are, your subjective feeling, not necessarily your absolute physical limit.
So your brain hits the brakes early, kind of?
Pretty much. It's trying to keep you safe
Yeah.
and preserve resources. And we also see this backed up by self-efficacy theory from psychology.
How so?
Well, studies consistently show that if you genuinely believe you can do something, your perceived exertion for that task actually goes down.
Ah, okay. So a strong mindset literally makes hard things feel a bit less hard.
Exactly. Believing makes it, well, more achievable because it feels less daunting.
Okay, so if we've got this hidden 60%, how do you start accessing it? How do you face what's really holding you back? Goggins has this intense ritual, the accountability mirror.
Right. It's
Well-
pretty, you literally stand in front of a mirror and write down your goals, but also your weaknesses, your excuses. Right there.
Seems intense.
It is, but the power is in that direct confrontation. Writing it on the mirror, seeing it next to your reflection. It kind of short-circuits the usual ways we let ourselves off the hook.
No hiding.
None. It forces this really visceral ownership. And it shifts motivation from needing outside praise to something purely internal, intrinsic, which is much more robust long-term.
Okay, so you've faced the mirror, but what about when things get tough later? How do you keep going? He talks about the cookie jar.
The cookie jar, it's a mental tool.
Yeah.
You basically mentally collect and store your past successes, your past moments of overcoming difficulty, big or small, doesn't matter. Those are your cookies.
And you pull one out when you need it.
Pretty much. When you're facing a new challenge and feeling weak, you mentally reach into that jar and remind yourself, I've overcome tough stuff before.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, and scientifically, you could call this a form of cognitive reframing. It's actively fighting against our natural recency bias.
Recency bias, meaning we focus too much on recent failures.
Exactly. We tend to overweight our latest struggles. The cookie jar forces you to intentionally recall evidence of your own past resilience. You're using past performance to fuel future effort.
Gotcha. Okay, and the last core piece seems to be about building toughness itself. He calls it cultivating a calloused mind.
Right, embracing the suck, as he puts it.
Yeah. So deliberately seeking out discomfort.
Essentially, yes. It's about systematically and voluntarily exposing yourself to things that are difficult or uncomfortable, physically or mentally.
Like a cold shower or doing the hard workout you dread.
Could be. It's basically a self-directed version of what psychologists call stress inoculation training. You're not just ignoring hardship. You're proactively building up your mind's tolerance for it, building psychological resilience like a muscle.
So putting it all together, these aren't just 4 separate tricks, are they? They seem connected.
Oh, absolutely. They form a system, a self-reinforcing loop, really.
How does that loop work?
Well, think about it. The accountability mirror clarifies your purpose and forces that brutal honesty. Then, the cookie jar and the callous mind build the confidence and the mental toughness you need to actually push past perceived limits.
Okay.
And the 40% rule is where you apply that toughness in real time, defying the urge to quit. Then, crucially, every time you successfully push past the limit.
You get a new cookie for the jar.
Exactly. And that reinforces your self-belief, your self-worth, which you then take back to the accountability mirror with maybe slightly bigger goals next time. It's a cycle of continuous improvement.
That makes sense. But like with anything this intense, there has to be a flip side, right? A potential danger zone.
Definitely. And that's a really important point. While the core ideas can be incredibly inspiring, pushing and no excuses, extreme approach too far can absolutely backfire.
Physically, you mean?
Physically, yes.
How?
Things like overtraining syndrome are real chronic fatigue, messed up hormones, a weaker immune system. Your body does have limits, and ignoring them completely is risky.
And mentally or socially?
Psychologically, too. There's a risk of becoming maybe too rigid, socially isolated even. Some research suggests that extremely high self-control can sometimes make people seem less empathetic, maybe a bit robot-like.
The lone wolf thing.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
You might prioritize discipline over connection, over community. So there's definitely a need for balance and self-awareness.
So it's not about blindly following rules.
Not at all. I think the Goggins mindset is best seen as a framework for building a really strong internal compass, not a rigid doctrine. True mastery isn't just about enduring pain.
It's also knowing when not to.
Exactly. Knowing when to push, yes, but also knowing when to recover, when to connect, harnessing that incredible discipline without becoming like a prisoner to it. It's about radical responsibility, sure, but also actively avoiding burnout and isolation.
Okay. So here's something to chew on then, a final thought for you listening. Thinking about these 4 concepts, the accountability mirror, the 40% rule, the cookie jar, the calloused mind, which one could you realistically commit to practicing, maybe just for the next 30 days?
Just one to start.
Yeah, pick one. But crucially, do it while keeping those potential pitfalls we just talked about in mind. Find your balance with it. Because ultimately, remember, you're the only one who can truly change your life. Maybe start now.
That's all for this episode of the Deep Dive Cast. Thanks for joining us. We hope you gained some valuable insights. Be sure to tune in next time for another deep dive into the world's best ideas. Until then, keep learning and growing.